Hello to all. So here we are on another week. So this is going to be a lesson for 26th of April. That's Sunday. So this week we'll be finishing off this lesson, and then I hope and hopefully we'll be starting to revise all those lessons that on Thursday before I stopped the video I just told you to do question number 13, 14, 15. Yes, some of you had asked me some questions, but I'm really sorry I could not get back to you with the answers. As you know, these days it's a little bit difficult to adjust the timing, so hopefully I'll get in touch with you all soon, those who had asked for the doubts. Other than that, if you have any doubts, ask me, but I'm trying my best to respond. Okay, so let's start with by checking question number 13, 14, and 15. So this is going to be write the equation of each line in the given form. So there were two forms which we learned: point slope form and slope intercept form. Now this we had already learned, but what's new was about those zeros where the x and y intercepts are given, but these three questions, those were not given. Okay, so write the equation of each line in the given form. The line through 0 and -2, so these two are the coordinates in point slope form. Now before you do anything, just remember, just recall the formulas. So the point slope form is going to be y minus y1 equals m, and in parenthesis x minus x1. So let's put them in that form. So to find that, but we need the slope first, right? So first let's find the slope for this. So the slope is going to be, now this is y2, so 6 minus 2, that's going to be plus 2 eventually. So I will write that as plus 2 directly, okay? Because again I'm repeating, it is y2 minus y1. So y1 is -2, which is minus in the equation and minus in the coordinates, so minus minus will become plus. Okay, so 6 plus 2 over 4 minus 0. So 6 plus 2 is going to be 8. 8 over 4, that's 4 minus 4, so that's going to give you 2. So the slope is going to be 2. 6 plus 8 is 2, 4 minus 0 is 4, so 8 divided by 4 is going to give you a 2. So the slope is 2. Now once that we have found the slope, let's put them in the formula properly. Now you can choose any one coordinate. There is no hard rule that you need to choose only one. So let me choose this coordinate and then let's replace them. So what was the formula? It was y minus y1 equals m, and in parenthesis x minus x1. Okay, so I'm just going to replace the letters. Y, I leave the y as it is because we don't know y, but for y1 and x1 we will choose any one of these points, coordinates. Okay, so I'm choosing this. So y1 is going to be -2, so negative into negative, again that will give me again +2, so that's going to be a +2. Okay, equals m, that's the slope, is going to be 2, and then x, we again leave the x because we don't know what x is, and x1 is going to be 0. Why did I write 1? It's going to be 0. Now it's not okay to have an equation or a form with 0, so we need to simplify this. It is not wrong also if you leave it like this, but it's not recommended that you leave a 0 like that in any equation or a form. If you have a 0, you need to of course get rid of that zeros to make that equation or the form look perfect. Okay, so to get rid of the 0, what we are going to do is, see, you're going to multiply this. So 2x is 2 multiply x is 2x, and 2 multiply 0 is going to give you 0. So which will take you to finally this equation. Which equation? Y plus 2 equals, so to get rid of the 0, we solved it. In fact, we opened up the brackets. That's all we did. So what were you left with? 2 multiply x is 2x, and then 2 multiplied by 0 is 0. So 2 zeros, we don't usually write it as 2x minus 0. We don't do that. So we kick out the 0. So the equation in slope intercept form is going to be y plus 2 is equal to 2x, which means when you see something like this, you need to realize that inside the parenthesis, it's going to be x minus 0. Okay, I know you wouldn't have done this part, you would have left it like this, but it's not recommended to keep zeros in formulas or equations. Okay, now question number 14. The line through 5, 2 and negative 2, 2 in slope intercept form. Now again, to find the slope intercept form, that's easy. Y is equal to mx plus b. But we need to find the slope first. So let's find the slope. That's going to be 2 minus 2 over minus 2 minus 5. Now, as soon as you look at the equation, you can say that the slope of this is going to be 0, because 2 minus 2 is 0, minus 2 minus 5 is minus 7. So 0 over negative 7, it's of course 0. So the slope of this question is going to be 0. So let's write the formula now. Y is equal to mx plus b. So y is equal to mx plus b, which is going to be y will stay y, equals m is going to be 0. Do notice what I'm doing here, and then we write x. Okay, here I don't know why I put equal, it's going to be plus. Okay, now we don't have the y-intercept, so we have to find the y-intercept. But notice this part, how it is looking. It's looking somewhat odd again because of the 0. So first let's find the y-intercept. So to find the y-intercept, you can choose any one point in this or this and put that in the same formula. So I'm choosing this because it doesn't have negatives. So okay, so that's going to be 2 equals y equals, the slope for us was 0, right? 0 multiplied by x is going to be 5 plus b. Okay, so which means 2 equals 0, 0 5s are 0, plus b. So what is the value of b going to be? B is going to be equal to 2, because it's naturally, if you see, you can say that the 0 has nothing to do. So 2 equals b, which means b equals 2. So the y-intercept is going to be 2. So now can we write it properly in the formula of slope intercept? So y equals mx, m is 0, okay, x plus b, that is the y-intercept, is 2. Now again, here there is something which is not proper. How can we never have any equation or any formula with 0 as the slope. Whenever there is 0, okay, we never write the x2. Why is that we don't write the x also? Because you will eventually multiply 0 with x. So 0 multiplied by any number is going to give you a 0. Right? Any formula, if you see, you will not have a number with x if the slope number in place of x if the slope is 0, because it's of no use. 0 multiplied by any number is going to give you 0. Even if x is 100, it's going to give you a 0. So what's the correct way of writing it? The perfect way of writing it is, I know most of you would have stopped with this part, but perfect way of writing is y is equal to 2. Why? Because we don't consider the 0x as anything. When there is nothing in place of the slope or the x, that means we need to understand the slope is 0. Now what will happen if I only move the 0 and write x? I will show you how it looks like without the 0. If I say, you might say, why can we not write like that? Let me show you why you cannot write. What's happening? Okay, there was something gone wrong, so it had all the steps had gone away. But what I was telling you was, you cannot have something like that, 0x plus 2, right? Okay, now why did I say you cannot have 0x plus 2? Now you might say, okay, we don't need to write 0, but we can write x. Remember, if there is no number here, we used to write the slope as 1. So when you only write the x, that means there is a slope of 1, which is wrong. So when there is no x and no number here, that means the slope is also 0. The slope is 0 in fact. So that's how you have to clearly identify when there are special cases with 0, how to solve the equations. Okay, now this question 15, the line through 694 with slope 2, 3 in point slope form. Again, point slope form is what? Y minus y1 equals m, and in parenthesis x minus x1 1, right? So here the slope is given to you. You just can choose any one coordinate, there is no anyone, they have given you only one coordinate. So choose that and just you have to put that in place, that's all. Now we don't know what's y, so we leave the y the same. Y1 is going to be -4. So again, here there's a negative, and then if I write again negative, that's going to be a positive. So +4 equals, the slope is given to be 2/3. Okay, 2/3. And then in parentheses, you will have to write x. We don't know what's x. And then x1 is going to be 6. So it's as easy as that. So this is going to be your solution. Okay, so those 3 questions were easy except for the 0 parts. That's not a mistake you have done, it's a different kind of question, that's all. Okay, so today we'll be learning how to graph each line. Now this is also nothing new for you because you already know what we have to do when you're drawing lines. So before we start drawing the lines and then finding their parallel or intersect or coincide means they just meet. They are neither parallel, they are not intersecting. You will see what coincide is, but let's first watch the videos on what they have to explain to us, and then let's start doing the questions on this page, same page.
Sometimes we can graph lines and see what they look like. Sometimes we could even look at the equation to see and determine if they're parallel or intersecting lines. Let's look at these 2 equations. Well, I noticed that both equations have the same slope, different y-intercepts. Anytime you have 2 equations where you have the same slope but different y-intercept, those lines are parallel. Okay. Let's look at another pair of lines, equations. Well, they're not in that nice slope-intercept form. One of them is, but the second one is not. So let's see if we can get the second equation in the slope-intercept form, and then we can compare slopes. We get 2x minus 2y is equal to 8. Subtract 2x from both sides, and we get negative 2y equals negative 2x plus 8. Divide both sides by -2. We get y equals x. Sorry about that. Need to have a negative sign. We get x minus 4. Well, look at this. Our equation above also is y equals x minus 4. Same slope, same y-intercept. These 2 lines coincide. Let's look at another pair of equations. They're not in that nice format, so we're going to have to put both of the equations in the slope-intercept form. 4x plus 3y equals 8. 3y equals a negative 4x plus 8. Y is equal to negative 4 over 3x plus 8 over 3. Okay, that's our first one. Let's look at the second equation. 4y equals 3x plus 8. Here we just simply have to divide both sides by 4, and we get y equals 3/4 x plus 2. Okay, now let's compare. The slope, negative 4/3, here it's 3/4. The y-intercept is 8/3, here it's 2. Different slopes, different y-intercepts. The lines intersect, and that's it.
Okay, that was an easy video. I just want you to only concentrate on this part here because this is important. Because if the if the formulas are having, or the lines are having same slope but different y-intercepts, they are parallel. But if they're having different slopes and different y-intercepts, they are intersecting, which means they're just joining. And if it is the same slope and same y-intercepting, means they are coinciding. Coinciding means basically they're talking about the same lines. Remember that in algebra we learned about that deja vu thing that in the previous video they were explaining. It's the same line they are talking about, so we call them as coinciding lines. So these are the three different things you have to remember: parallel lines, same slope but different y-intercept; intersecting lines have all things different slope, different y-intercept; and coinciding lines, they have same slope but same y-intercept also. Okay, so also watch this video, this one, and then we will go back and do the lessons. Questions?
Here's an equation of a line, and it's in the slope-intercept form. We have two things. We know the slope and we know the y-intercept. We can graph the line with that information. The first thing you do is you graph the y-intercept. Well, I'm going to come up on the y-axis where it's 2, put a red dot. That's 1 point on that line. Make it really big so we can see it. Okay. Now we need another point because 2 points determine a line. Since our slope is 2 over 3, remember, rise over run. I'm going to start from my y-intercept. I'm going to rise 2, and I'm going to run 3. 1, 2, 3. I got another point, and it takes 2 points to determine a line. I'm going to graph my line. The equation of that line is y equals 2/3 x plus 2. Another one. Okay. Now, this equation is given in the point-slope form. It's in the point-slope form. In this case, the slope is a -3. Now, remember, you can write the slope as a -3 over a +1, or you can write it as 3 over a -1. Same thing. We still get a -3. All right. Just like we did up before, we're going to first find a point. Well, in the point-slope form, which this equation is in this form, we can see that we have a point. Notice it says minus x up 1. So 1 point, the x-coordinate is 2. Well, it says minus 2. So the x-coordinate is 2. And the y-coordinate, well, notice this. I'm going to go ahead and write this down. The x-coordinate is 2. And it says minus y sub 1. But this says plus. So what's our y-coordinate? It's a -4. So now we have a point. We have the slope. We can graph the line. Let's first graph the point. 2, -4. All right. 2, -4 is 1 point on that line. And now I need to use the slope to determine the other point. I'm going to start with 2, -4, and I'm going to go down 3 units, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to run 1. There's another point. Let's do this one. Let's start with 2, -4. Let's use this slope. 2, -4. I'm going to rise 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to run -1. And guess what? Instead of getting 2 points, I got 3 points. And that's okay. It's just a way of checking to see if my points are correct. I'm going to graph those. Connect those points. I have my equation, the graph of this equation, and something else I noticed. Notice my slope is negative. My line shows that my slope is negative. Right. Let's do another one. X equals a negative 5. Well, I know that x equals negative 5 is a vertical line. How do I know that? Because if I were to go to a negative 5 on the x-axis, all of the x coordinates on this vertical line is a negative 5. Any point that I find on this line, the vertical line, is a negative, the x coordinate is a negative 5. So x equals negative 5 is a vertical line. The graph is a vertical line. And it's just a vertical line. And it's parallel to the y-axis. So the graph of the vertical line, in this case, is x equals a negative 5.
Okay, hopefully that lesson, that part of the lesson was clear. So I don't need to be going on explaining it again and again. Okay, so it's the same one which we have done before, where the formula was given and the line was given, and we have to always remember to keep them in the form y is equal to mx plus b, and then we are going to graph it. That's all, nothing different. Okay, so we will do question number 5, 6, 7, and then the remaining, if we have time, I'll just maybe do 1 or 2, and then you will have to, of course, do your homework. Okay, so let's graph this line. So graph each line. So here it's first make sure that it's in the form y is equal to mx plus b. Yes, it is. Y is equal to mx plus b. So to graph a line, what are the things we need? We need the y-intercept, which is b. Okay, and also we need the slope. So slope is important and y-intercept is important, then we can graph the line. Simple as that. Okay, so here the graph is negative 3. I mean, the slope is negative 3. Okay, so that means it's a fall. You come down, which is always over an invisible 1. So here the slope is going to be negative 3 over 1. Okay, so that's the first thing we need, and then we need the y-intercept, which is going to be 4. So we have all this, so let's graph and check how the graph is looking like. I don't even think you will need my help in this, but still we have to do it. Okay, so here is the coordinate plane as usual. Again, you have to get your graph books. Okay, so first let's start. We are going to go draw the slope first. So slope is going to be negative 3 over 1, and the y-intercept is 4. So let's graph the y-intercept first. So the y-intercept is going to be 4, which is here. Okay, what is y-intercept? And x is 0, what's y? Okay, so from this point, I've used the slope to get to another 2 or 3 points. So the slope was negative 3 over 1. Negative 3 means it's going 1, 2, 3, 3 down and 1 to the right. So that's the next point is here. Again, the same way, you will go 3 down, 1, 2, 3, and 1 to the right. So the next point is going to be here. So I think that's enough points for us to draw a line. So all what you're going to do is just draw a line by joining the 3 points. Okay, I have to change this. Fine. So adjust. I mean, of course, you don't need to be adjusting because you're drawing it with a pencil. But okay. So your graph needs to look like this. Now, as you can see from the slope, it is a negative slope. We got a negative slope, which means you know how a negative slope, a negative line, a slope with a line looks like. Negative slope line looks like. Okay, so you know if the line comes from the upper corner, left corner to down, it's a negative slope, right? So this is how your line looks like. It's easy as that. Okay, let's move on to the next question. So in the next question, they are saying that Okay, in the next question, it is given in the form y minus y1 equals m and then x minus x1. So again, from this formula, we can find out the slope. So for this question, the slope is going to be 2 over 3, right? The slope is 2 over 3. Now we need the y-intercept, but they don't give us the y-intercept in this formula for us, but of course they give us something else. They give us a coordinate as well. They give us the exact ordered pair. How did we get this 4 and negative 6 and this 6 when we were doing the formula? When there are 2 points, we just choose 1 point and then we put that in place of y1 and x1. So which means this number, that's y1 and x1, are a number in the ordered pair. So from this I can say that the slope is 2 and 3. Okay, but also I have the value of x and y. So the value of x is going to be 6 and the value of y is going to be 4. Now why I did not take minus 6? Because in this negative is for the one in the formula, x minus x1. If it was plus here, then also that's going to be a positive number as well. So we just want to get one coordinate, that's all. So from this formula we can get a coordinate, that's 6 and 4. How did I get it? This is x1 y1, which means when they had given us 2 coordinates in the question, see, like this. When they had given us 2 coordinates, we took any one and put that in the formula. So same way, they, from out of 2 coordinates, they have taken one. So we can, by like using the formula, from the formula we can take out one coordinate. So we have to take this as x and y. So that's going to be 6 and 4. X is 6 and y is 4. So the slope is 2 over 3 and one of the coordinate, because we cannot find the y-intercept, so we have to find a coordinate here. That's going to be 6 and 4. So let's graph and check whether the answer we are going to get is correct or not. I mean, is it how the line is going to look like? Okay. So I will start with 6 and 4. Of course, we need a coordinate. Only then we can go on with the slope, or we need the y-intercept. So 6 and 4. So 6 is here, 4 is here. Y-intercept is also a coordinate because x is 0 and y is the number. Okay. So 6 and 4 is here. And now for the slope. So slope is 2 over 3, which means you will go 2 up and 3 to the right. Now that's a bigger number according to me because my graph is not that big. So I will in fact use the opposite way for that. Okay, which means if the slope is 2 over 3 means I can also go 2 down and 3 to the left. I can do that too to get the next point rather than going up and to the right. Okay, so I will come 2 down, that's 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, which means my next coordinate is going to be this. Now from here, if you check also, you will reach that point. The slope was 2 over 3, right? So from here you check 2 up and 3 to the right. So you're in the same point. So if you want to get another point which is less, you just go the opposite way. Do go 2 down and 3 to the left. Okay, so this is going to be the second point. Now if you want a third one, of course you can go ahead and get it. So 2 down and 3 to the right. So I'll go 1, 2 down and 1, 2, 3 to the right. So that means it's one point in the origin. So let me join these lines. Now of course the slope was a positive one. The line is also going to be a positive one as well. And you know how the positive lines look like. They come from the right corner up to down. So this is how your line is going to be. Fine. So this is going to be the line for question number 6. Easy, right? Now this is a more easy one. Question number 7, x is equal to 5. Now how are you going to see, I mean draw what is x is going, like how are you going to draw x is equal to 5? Nothing. X is equal to 5 means in this point when x is equal to 5, it's going to be a vertical line. That's it, nothing else. So you just simply have to take your ruler, keep on x is equal to 5 and draw one line from up to down. That's it. This is going to be the line x is equal to 5. Means for any value of 5, the corresponding value of for any value of y, x is going to be 5. Y is 1, x is 5. Y is 2, x is 5. So x is equal to 5. In other words, easy, right? Now, in case if it was y is equal to 5, you will draw a horizontal line. Fine. Now let's go ahead to the next part of the lesson and check what they are asking us to do. Okay, determine whether the lines are parallel, intersect, or coincide. Now this is what I told you to notice there too. If they are parallel, the slopes will be the same, but the intercepts will be different. If they are intersecting, different slopes, different intercepts, and if it is coinciding, same slope and same y-intercept. Okay, always make sure that your equations are in the form y is equal to mx plus b. Okay, if they're not, you have to change them. Fine. So question number 8, y is equal to negative 3x. So it's in the form, check first, y is equal to mx plus b. Y equals mx plus b. Yes, it is in the form. Y equals mx plus b. Yes, it is in the same form. So once they are in the same form, compare the slopes. So what is the slope here? Slope is negative 3 and negative 3. So the same slope. So same slope. Okay, compare the intercepts now. Now the y-intercept here is 4 and the y-intercept here is 1, which means the y-intercepts are different. So if same slope, different intercepts means what is that going to be? Is that going to be parallel? Yes, it is going to be parallel. So these two lines are going to be parallel lines. You need to just remember those 3 points. If you remember those 3 points, then easily you can identify them as parallel, intersecting, or coinciding. Okay, now moving on to this question. Now again, this equation is not in the form y is equal to mx plus b, of course not. So we need to be arranging them in that form. So let's arrange it first. So first let me arrange the first equation. Okay, so that's going to be negative 12y equals, if 6x goes to that side, that will become negative 6x. These lessons all you have learned. Okay, so negative 24. So we have to get rid of this thing, right? We have to get rid of the 12 here. So to get rid of the 12, of course, I will have to divide them with 12. So if I divide them with 12, that's going to give me, let me write it clearly. So I will divide both the sides with negative 12. Okay, so y is equal to negative 6 divided by negative 12. So negative will go off, but 6 divided by 12 will give me 1 over 2x. Okay, then again, negative 24 divided by negative 12. Again, the negative will go away. That will give you a positive 2. Okay, so this is one of the slopes. One of the equation in the form y is equal to mx plus b. Now let's see the other one. That's 3y equals 2x plus 18. Now, again, you have to remove the 3 from y, which means you have to divide both the sides with 3. Now, 2 you cannot divide by 3, so your equation is going to be something like this, 2 over 3. Because you cannot divide 2 by 3. So it's going to be 2 over 3x plus 18 divided by 3 will give you 6. So now compare the slopes. One of the slope is half and one of the slope is 2/3, and even the intercepts are different. So which means different slopes, different intercepts, which means this line is intersecting. Yeah, fine. Moving to question number 10. Again, it's in the form y is equal to mx plus b, but this is not in that form, so only you have to change this form. So once you change this form means, how is that equation going to be? You will divide 3. You will divide both these numbers by 3. So to divide that by 3, you know there is an invisible 1 here, right? We don't write the 1. So 1 divided by 3. So how will your equation look like? Y is going to be equal to 1 over 3x. Because you cannot divide 1 by 3. Even if you divide, you'll get it in points. Okay, so plus, Again, 2 divided by 3 also you cannot do, so you will just write it as 2 over 3. This is what we have been doing. If you cannot divide a number, or if you divide a number and you will get get a remainder, we just write the number down and the other number up. That's what we do. So now let's compare the slopes. Are the slopes the same? Here it's 1 over 3, here it's 1 over 3. Yes, they are the same. Now, are the intercepts the same? 2 over 3, 2 over 3, they are the same too. So same slope, same intercept. That means these two lines are coinciding. Okay, it's easy, nothing difficult, nothing big to think about. Just you have to solve for y is equal to mx plus b and then compare the slope and the intercept. Okay, again, this is again not in the form y is equal to mx plus b. So let's change it. So that's going to be y is equal to, which is basically 2y equals negative 4x plus 10. Okay, but once you divide again, okay, not to confuse you, I will write it better. So this is going to be 2y equals negative 4x plus 10. Okay, so to get rid of this 2, of course you need to be dividing both the numbers by 2. Okay, so once you divide both of them by 2, negative 4 divided by 2 will give you a negative 2, which means again y is going to be equal to negative 2x, and 10 divided by 2 will give you 5. So y is equal to negative 2x plus 5. Now this is already in the form y is equal to mx plus b, so you don't need to be doing anything here. Just compare the slopes. Slope is negative 2, negative 2, so same slope. Compare the y-intercepts, it's positive 15 and positive 5, which means the slopes are not the same. So if they are the same slope and different intercepts, that means the lines are parallel. Okay, the lesson was easy, nothing difficult, right? So I hope you have understood this lesson. All what you've got to do is do the homework, but before you finish the lesson, I want you to watch this video because it's a very important video as problem solving, and I am still not solving any problem solving questions with you. So just only watch this, okay? And then of course I will end the video with that, but do make sure that you do the homework. And until we meet in the next video, take care of yourself and stay safe.
Hey, let's take a look at a real-world application where you can see lines in the coordinate plane unfolding and stretching out all over to help us solve real-world questions. So I'm considering one of two health plans. I'm going to figure out which one I want. Let me tell you about them. In fact, I have a little bit of a table here to show it to you. There's Plan A, there's Plan B. Plan A requires me to pay an initial enrollment fee of $100 and then a monthly fee of $40. Sounds pretty good. Whereas Plan B has no enrollment fee, but I pay $60 per month. And the question is, how many months would I have to sort of go through to actually have either of these plans actually cost me the same amount of money? So what's the break-even point when, in fact, will I have paid out the same to Plan A as I did for Plan B? All right. Well, we can actually think about this by setting up a model in terms of lines. Then we can actually solve them either algebraically or geometrically. So let's do both. So first of all, let's consider the actual issue here. So the first issue is, how much would I be paying per month with Plan A? Let's suppose that X represents the number of months that I'm in the program for. Well, if that's the number of months, then what do I pay? Well, I pay $40 per month. That's 40 times X. But don't forget, I have to pay that one-time fee of $100. So for Plan A, I see Y, the amount I pay, is going to equal 40X, that's my monthly fee for X months, plus that one-time $100 enrollment fee. So that's for A. What about for Plan B? Well, Plan B, how much would it cost? If X represents the months again, there's no enrollment fee, but I pay $60 per month. So 60 multiplied by the number of months, but there's no enrollment fee, so that's it. So these two equations represent the two possibilities, A and B. Well, let's solve them. Well, the way we can solve them, if we want to solve them algebraically, is just we can take these two equations and subtract them. So let's take the A and subtract the B and see what we get. When we subtract, y minus y is 0. 40x minus 60x is negative 20x. And then 100 minus 0 is plus 100. I can now subtract, I can add 20 to both sides to undo that subtraction. And when I do that, I see 20x equals, and negative 20x plus 20x is just 0, so equals 100. And I can divide both sides by 20, and I see x equals 5. The units here, by the way, are months. So 5 months is the break-even point. That means that if I were to enroll in Plan A, 5 months later, the amount I would actually spend would be equal to the amount I would spend if I were going into Plan B. So there's the answer, and we can see that algebraically. Let's now look at it visually. So geometrically, I could actually graph, if I wanted to, the months on the x-axis and the cost in the y-axis. And now I have two straight lines. Let's graph the lines. So the first one is y equals 40x plus 100. So that's a y-intercept of 100. And the slope is 40 over 1. So I go 1 over 40 up, 1 over 40 up. And what would that mean in terms of 5? If I go 5 over, how high do I have to go? Well, then that's going to be 200 up. So I go 200 up, 1, 2, 5 over, I get to here. Use my straight line, and I can graph the purple Plan A. So that's Plan A. Now what about Plan B? Plan B is y equals 60x. Well, there's a y-intercept of 0, and the slope is 60. And so that means that I go 60 up and 1 over, 60 up and 1 over, and so forth. So when I graph this, do it carefully here, the lines get pretty close together for a little bit. So this represents Plan B, and you can look at these two and you can ask, where do they actually intersect? And you can see they intersect right here. And what point is that? That's 5 months, which is what we found. But the graph actually tells us more, because not only do we see that 5 months is the break-even point, but I actually see how much I would be spending for 5 months. I can read over and see 300. This also shows me a lot of other things. If I'm only going to enroll in the program for a few months, what's the better deal? The answer is B, because the line B is actually below the line A. So I actually save money. But after the break-even point, then all of a sudden B becomes more expensive, and I was better off with A. So in fact, the visualization tells us all sorts of things about the dynamic question, not just one moment of information, but in fact, a whole sea of information, and that's the power of looking at things geometrically. Anyway, enjoy thinking about lines in the plane, and I'll see you soon.